They told you to chase money. They told you to hustle. They told you to fight your way to the top, to grind until your eyes bleed, to sacrifice peace for the illusion of power. But no one ever told you the truth, that wealth is not something you chase. It is something you magnetize. And you don't magnetize it by chasing shadows or mimicking men with empty souls. You magnetize wealth by becoming valuable, irreplaceably, immovably, dangerously valuable. This world does not reward need. It punishes it. The desperate man, the begging man, the man clawing at the gates of abundance with trembling fingers, he is not admired. He is pitied, or worse, ignored. But the man who walks through those same gates with the fire of purpose in his eyes, the man who brings value wherever he stands, the world rearranges itself around him. There is no shortcut. There is no cheat code. There is only the transformation of you, your mind, your presence, your being, into something that cannot be dismissed, something rare, something raw, something valuable. You see, wealth isn't about money. Money is the symptom. Value is the cause. And value is born from the depths of who you become when no one is watching, when the lights are off. When you're face down in the mud of your failures and you choose to get up again, when you sharpen your skill not for applause, but because mediocrity sickens you, because excellence is your oxygen. Do you want to be rich, or do you want to be necessary? Do you want to own things, or do you want to be the kind of force that even kings consult before making a move? You were not born to beg the world for scraps. You were born to build yourself into a man who cannot be ignored. And the truth is brutal but liberating. No one will come to save you. No one will hand you the crown. You must forge it with your pain, with your patience, with your purpose. Carl Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Not who society conditioned you to be, not who fear allows you to be, but who you are at your highest frequency. That man, the real you, is not broke. He is not lost. He is not average. He is simply asleep. And wealth, real wealth, begins the moment you wake him up. The world is starving for men of weight, men of substance, men who do not flinch at hardship because they've already been to hell and studied the architecture, men who build value from their scars, men who alchemize their suffering into gold. That's the secret no one wants to tell you. You don't attract wealth by faking status. You attract wealth by becoming the kind of man who can carry the weight of a kingdom on his back without losing himself. The kind of man whose silence commands more respect than another man's shouting. And how do you become that? You learn to suffer with dignity. You learn to sit with your darkness and not run from it. You learn to listen to your inner voice, not the one shaped by trauma or ego, but the one beneath all that whispering, rise. You don't need more motivation. You need clarity. You need to understand that your life is the compound interest of your character. Every day you either invest in your greatness or you dilute it with distractions. There is no in between. You're either becoming more valuable or becoming more forgettable. And value, true value, is not about trends. It's about truth. Can you solve a real problem? Can you make others stronger just by being in their presence? Can you speak with conviction born from experience, not from books? If the answer is yes, wealth has no choice but to follow. Because the marketplace doesn't reward noise. It rewards necessity. And when you become someone who can no longer be replaced, you no longer need to compete. The competition becomes irrelevant. The game stops. The chase ends because you are the prize. But to reach that place, you must let go of every part of you that is addicted to validation. Every weak habit, every excuse dressed as logic, every fantasy that tells you the world owes you something. The world owes you nothing, but it responds violently, passionately, loyally to the man who becomes undeniable. Don't chase money. Chase mastery. Mastery of your mind, mastery of your craft, mastery of your emotions. When you stop reacting and start choosing, you evolve, you transcend. You become what Jung called an individuated self, whole, integrated, powerful. Do you know what happens when you reach that state? People feel it. Without you saying a word, they sense that you've touched something they haven't, that you've suffered and turned that suffering into sovereignty, that you've walked through fire and came out carrying light. That's what the wealthy man is. Not a man with money, but a man who knows how to create value no matter where he is dropped. Take everything from him and he'll rebuild it better. Not because of luck, but because of who he has become. That is the level you must seek. Not superficial success, but transformation. The death of your lesser self. The emergence of the man who no longer needs to be loud, because his presence speaks louder than his words ever could. Wealth will find you, but only when you stop needing it and start deserving it. And you deserve it by becoming dangerous, not in violence, but in value. Dangerous in your calm, dangerous in your clarity, dangerous because you are no longer swayed by opinion or fear or rejection. You know who you are, and that makes you magnetic. In a world addicted to cheap dopamine, you become the rare source of depth. In a culture obsessed with quick hacks and shallow status, you become the mountain unshakable, unmoved, immovable. Let them chase clout. You chase capability. Let them chase trends. You chase timelessness. Let them chase wealth. You become the man it chases. Because once you've become valuable, truly valuable, the game is over. You don't need to beg, you don't need to convince, you don't need to shout. You simply exist, and your existence is the invitation. To become valuable is to become free. Free from approval, free from fear, free from the illusion that anything outside of you will ever complete you. You are not waiting for the opportunity. You are the opportunity. You are not hunting wealth. You are the source of wealth. You are not chasing a life worth living. You are becoming a life that others would give anything to touch. So stop running, stop begging, stop distracting yourself with empty noise. Sit with your pain, sharpen your edge, build your mind, strengthen your spirit. And then watch. Watch as the world slowly, then all at once, begins to orbit around the gravity of the man you have become. Most men are loud because they are hollow. They inflate themselves with noise, with status symbols, with borrowed confidence, hoping that the world won't notice the emptiness within. But the valuable man doesn't speak to be heard. He speaks when there is something to say, and his silence terrifies the insecure, because in that stillness lies power unspoken, untouchable, and undeniable. Wealth, true wealth, doesn't scream. It moves in whispers, in precision, in grace. It doesn't show up for a man who wants to look important. It arrives for the man who is important not to the masses, but to reality itself. To become valuable is not to be liked. It is to be respected, to be needed, to be trusted when others fold. It is to become a man whose presence alone shifts the energy of any room, not because of what he wears or what he drives, but because of what he's been through and what he embodies. The valuable man does not seek permission. He moves with the conviction of a man who has walked through hell with his eyes open, a man who knows that comfort is a drug and mediocrity is its side effect, a man who understands that the price of greatness is isolation, rejection, and the death of the weaker self. He is not born. He is forged. Forged in failure, forged in humiliation, forged in silence while the world scrolls and tweets and posts and pleads. While they distract themselves with every new flavor of mediocrity, he goes inward into the dark, into the cave of the self, into the abyss Jung spoke of, where you meet not the world, but your shadow. And here's the paradox. Only when you integrate that shadow, your fear, your envy, your rage, your addiction to comfort, can you become whole. And only when you are whole can you truly become valuable. Because the world doesn't need more perfect men. It needs integrated men Men who've made peace with their darkness and used it as fuel. Men who've taken their inner chaos and turned it into external order. This is the difference between the man who performs and the man who transforms. One is desperate to be seen. The other doesn't care because he sees himself. And when you see yourself truly, painfully, powerfully, you stop trading your soul for acceptance. You stop shrinking for anyone. You stop pretending to be what you're not. Because now you are dangerous. Not in anger, but in truth. Not in aggression, but in presence. Not in manipulation, but in clarity. You've become a man who doesn't just do what is popular. You do what is right. You do what is necessary. You do what the version of you 5 years from now would thank you for. And that man, that future version of you, is already watching, already waiting, already whispering, don't stop, don't settle, don't sell out. You want wealth? You want power? Then build yourself into the kind of man who can handle it without being owned by it. Because if you don't do the internal work, your success will be your prison. You'll have everything and feel nothing. You'll reach the peak only to realize you brought your emptiness with you. Value is not what you show the world. It's what you've earned in silence. It's what you've bled for behind closed doors. It's the quiet confidence that comes from surviving what would break most men. And that is the soil from which real wealth grows. Not the fleeting kind, not the performative kind, but the generational kind. The kind that moves without asking for permission. The kind that doesn't beg to be acknowledged. It commands attention by being what others pretend to be. But to get there, you must let go of everything soft inside you. Every excuse, every crutch, every story you've told yourself about why now is not the time is now. It has always been now. Because every moment you delay is a moment you trade your potential for comfort, your legacy for laziness. You want to be irreplaceable? Then suffer, willingly, strategically, not recklessly, but with intention. Embrace the early mornings, the late nights, the long stretches of doubt where no one believes in you, not even yourself. Because it is there, in the crucible of your own disbelief, where your real value is forged. No one sees it yet. And that's perfect. Because what is unseen can grow without interference. What is unseen can be refined. What is unseen can become undeniable. You are not chasing wealth. You are becoming it. Slowly, brutally, beautifully. And when that day comes, and it will, when the world finally sees what you've become, it won't be because you shouted. It won't be because you begged. It will be because you built yourself into something they cannot ignore. A man of gravity, a man of fire, a man of value. And when you become that, wealth won't just find you. It will follow you. Because wealth, like power, like love, like meaning, is drawn not to noise, but to signal. And the signal of a valuable man is unmistakable. It hums beneath everything he does. It's not in what he says, but in how he moves, how he decides, how he suffers without complaint and wins without arrogance. He doesn't announce his ambition, he embodies it. The world may overlook you now. Let them. Let them dismiss you, let them laugh. That's their gift to you, anonymity, silence, space to build in peace. Because when you rise, you will not be another man trying to impress them. You will be the man they come to learn from. But to earn that seat, to wear that crown, you must die first. Not physically, psychologically, spiritually. The old you, the fragile one, the people pleaser, the man who waits to be chosen, he must be burned. And from his ashes, something ancient must awaken. Something sovereign. The you who no longer needs the world's approval because he has already approved of himself, that man doesn't chase wealth. He creates it by his choices, his habits, his presence. He understands that discipline is the highest form of self-respect, that clarity is more powerful than motivation, that silence is more persuasive than noise. That value is not created in a week or a month, it is carved over years, in the dark, when no one is clapping. And when the applause does come, he doesn't flinch, because by then he's already clapped for himself 1,000 times in silence. He doesn't need the world to see him. He expects it because he knows what he's built. This is the law of value. You don't rise by demanding more, you rise by becoming more. Not just in skill, but in spirit. Not just in knowledge, but in wisdom. Not just in ambition, but in alignment. And that alignment between who you say you are and who you actually are is rare. It's why most people never become truly valuable. Because they can mimic behavior, but they can't fake essence. The valuable man has essence. It's in the way he breathes, the way he listens, the way he chooses discipline over dopamine, vision over validation, truth over convenience. He doesn't live for weekends. He doesn't escape through entertainment. He doesn't sabotage himself when things get hard, because he knows pain is the tuition of power. Every failure is a lesson. Every betrayal is a mirror. Every delay is a test. And every test is an invitation. Will you fold here, or will you forge deeper value? The man of value answers not with words, but with movement, quietly, daily, relentlessly, until what was once invisible becomes impossible to ignore. And then it happens. People begin to notice. Doors begin to open. Money begins to flow. Not because he begged for it, but because he became the kind of man who could handle it. A man who no longer fears responsibility because he knows he's earned the right to carry it. A man who no longer plays small because he knows shrinking serves no one. A man who no longer compromises because he knows the cost of betraying himself. And when wealth finds him, it does not enslave him. It serves him. Because he didn't chase it like a fool. He earned it like a king. That is the difference between temporary success and timeless value. Anyone can get lucky once. Anyone can flash for a season. But only the man who transforms himself brutally, honestly, courageously, can sustain greatness. And that is what you are building now. Not noise, not image, not hype, substance. The kind of substance that makes people feel safe in your presence. The kind that makes chaos retreat. The kind that makes opportunities appear not because you asked for them, but because they recognize you as worthy. Worthy not because of what you've said, but because of what you've survived, what you've refused to give up on, what you've built while no one believed in you. You want wealth? Become the man who doesn't need it. Then, and only then, it will find you. And it will stay, because it stays with value, always. And when it stays, it does not just enrich your bank account, it enriches your existence. It deepens your silence. It sharpens your gaze. It quiets the frantic hunger that once made you chase. Because now you understand, wealth is not the treasure. You are the treasure. Everything else is just a reflection. And that reflection is now being forged in the fire of your choices. Every early morning, you rise before the world stirs. Every book you read, instead of scrolling. Every hour, you pour into your craft. Every rep, every step, every battle you win against your own weakness, that is wealth in motion. It may not show up as numbers yet, but it's compounding, quietly, faithfully. Because the universe is not blind, nor is it kind to cowards. It is responsive to courage, to clarity, to character, to the man who dares to become the source instead of the beggar. And this is what separates the rare from the rest. The valuable man doesn't wait to feel ready. He moves, he acts, he chooses discomfort over delay, progress over perfection. Not because he is fearless, but because he is done being ruled by fear. He has seen through the illusion that money is power, that image is truth, that likes equal love. He knows better now. He knows that power is presence, that truth is integrity, that love is earned through value, not validation. So he stops pretending, stops performing. He builds slowly, obsessively, with intention. He builds his body not for vanity, but for discipline. He builds his mind not for ego, but for clarity. He builds his spirit not for praise, but for peace. And when the world finally comes knocking, when the calls flood in, when the money tries to buy his time, he remembers, I am not for sale. I am in service to something higher, something deeper, something eternal, his purpose. Because wealth is not about stacking digits. It's about alignment between your values and your actions, between who you are in private and who you present in public, between the life you fantasize about and the one you earn every damn day. And that alignment, that is where the power is. That is where the magnetism is born. It's why some men walk into a room and everything shifts, not because of their clothes or their titles, but because they are anchored fully, fiercely, freely. They are not leaning on anything. They are the foundation. And foundations don't beg for approval. They hold the weight of vision, of legacy, of truth. So, if you want to become that, if you want to become unshakable, undeniable, unforgettable, stop asking, what do I need to get? And start asking, who do I need to become? Because the truth is savage but sacred. You don't get what you want. You get what you are. So become rare, become rooted, become so damn valuable that even if the world wanted to ignore you, it couldn't. Not because you shouted, but because you became the signal in the noise, the mountain in the storm, the man who did not flinch, did not fold, did not run, but rose every single day, until the man in the mirror finally said back to you, you are it. You are the source. You are the wealth. You are the one. And when you are the one, not in theory, not in fantasy, but in flesh indeed, in spirit, the world bends. Opportunities unfold. Allies appear. Even your enemies begin to speak your name with caution because they feel it now. You are not like them. You are not chasing the carrot. You are the architect of the field. You are not dancing for coins. You are designing empires. You are not hoping to be chosen. You are choosing yourself again and again with the ruthless discipline of a man who has burned the bridges behind him. There is no going back. The weak version of you is dead. The man who complained, who compared, who waited, gone. And in his place stands something timeless. A man with no mask. A man who owes no explanation. A man who walks in value. Not for applause, not for attention, but because it is the only way he knows how to live now. And when others come, when they ask you how you did it, you won't need to explain. They will feel it in your presence, in your peace, in your eyes. They will feel the weight of a man who became valuable, not to get rich, but to get free. And that is when you will know you didn't find wealth, you became it.